the first day, I would say, of real good technical price action. Monday was okay, just was hard if you're trading other names. Tuesday was nothing. Then Wednesday, finally, some good price action. And let's hope that it continues today's session. So we'll talk about this today on the SPY chart. We'll go over what's going on here. We'll go over what's going on the Qs chart. We'll talk about the QQQ major level of supply above us, 485. Qs is huge. 45 QQQ is huge. This is not only the big supply zone, but if you go out to a 4-hour or even a daily time frame, you see exactly why this is important, right? We have major inflection point here at the 485, and if we break above it, then we're back at that daily 200 SMA. We're back at that median on the market, right? So very big level approaching here on the Qs. And the question becomes this: the question we have to ask ourselves today is, where is the long opportunity? Where is the pullback long opportunity? Because there will be a pullback long opportunity. It's those who first tell us where it is first, right? Find out where it is, and those who are patient are the ones who are going to win today. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today on the SPY, on the Qs, on the ES. Of course, we'll talk about the levels as well, where the pullback longs come in. We'll talk about the 5576 level on ES. We'll talk about the 5500 level on ES, big technical levels. We're also going to go over the levels on Tesla. We'll talk about Tesla 290. We'll talk about Amazon. We'll talk about that 190 on Amazon, the 180 demand on Amazon, and also the 190 level on Amazon. So some big levels to go over today's session. We're also going to talk about Apple. We'll talk about Apple. We'll talk about NVDA 115, NVIDIA 115, 110. We're going to talk about AMD 98. 98, really big level here on AMD. This could be a nice play today as we just broke above it in the pre-market session. So let's dive into it today, guys. I want to go into our economic data first, our earnings reports data first. Then we'll go back into our charts. So on the economic data side today, on the econ side, today is May 1st. It is the start of a new month. You've survived April, and now we're back in May, okay? With today being the start of May, you guys know there's going to be a lot of market movements. That's why yesterday's session also had a lot of market movements. Also, just understand about today's session, it's not all about it being May 1st. It's also economic data, right? You have jobless claims 830, which has already come out. You have, 8 minutes ago, you have PMI manufacturing 945 in about an hour, right? You have ISM manufacturing at 10 o'clock and construction spending at 10 o'clock. So today's session is about econ data as well. Keep that in mind. 9:45 data, 10 o'clock data. Just keep it in the back of your mind so you know when you're in trades to watch out for this. And this was actually really important yesterday. If you guys remember, I was short yesterday at 9:45 into our 10 o'clock data. And I got the move, like a $4 downside move on SPY. And then I was trying to hold runners for a little bit longer, but I knew to sell out 80 or 90% of my position before the 10 o'clock data came in, because as soon as that 10 o'clock data came in, the market reversed, ripped, and reclaimed above the level. And it's important that you know when these data releases are, so that you're not all in a trade, right? 100% exposed to the market while the data is about to come out. So 9:45 data today, also 10 o'clock data today. Keep it on the back of your head, okay? Earnings reports. On the earnings report side, you have yesterday's session, Microsoft, Meta, Robinhood, QCOM, all reported yesterday. We're going to talk about every single one of these 4 tickers, just the 4. We're not going to go over Pilgrims and CP and we're not going to go over the other ones. We're just going to go over the top 4, okay? Top 4, Microsoft, Meta, Robinhood, QCOM. QCOM down, Robinhood up, Meta up, Microsoft up. So we'll talk about all 4 of those today, okay? We're going to go over Thursday session, Amazon, Apple, MasterCard in the pre-market session, McDonald's in the pre-market session, Airbnb in the after hours. So, and also Reddit, RDDT. So pretty big names reporting in the after hours session today. In fact, this is probably just as big as yesterday's after hours. So keep that in mind. Amazon and Apple are big components of the S&P. Okay, so let's keep that in mind as we are approaching our session tomorrow. Okay, so we have 1,000 people in here and we have 240 likes. So let's get the likes up, guys. Let's get the subs up if you guys can as well, and let's dive into our charts. So on the SPY chart, we are gapping up in the market. We're seeing some strong movements in the market after some positive earnings. This gap up is caused by tech doing pretty well. You look across the board, you see Meta showing a little bit of strength. You see names like QCOM weak, but there, right? QCOM weak, but there. And you see other names, for example, like Robinhood, pretty strong in the pre-market session. So you do have tech earnings outpacing what the market was anticipating this morning, and that's why you're seeing SPY gapping up, a little bit of an exciting gap up in the market. And what we've learned about gap ups in the market recently is we've learned that anytime you see a gap up in the market like this, big exciting gap ups, everyone's very quick to say, let's go long in the market, right? And yes, I agree, right? But the long, in my opinion, was really yesterday, right? Yesterday's session was the long opportunity. If you saw yesterday, the shorts were valid under 544. So we actually took the short on live. We went short here on that 544 break and retest, downside move. But then the market reclaimed here. And this is my opinion. This is why I love levels, because how can you be bearish off the open and then bullish 35 minutes later? Well, it's based upon levels and how we respond to levels. If you were to elevator pitch how I trade or how you guys trade, probably many of you guys are the same way. Maybe some of you guys throw in some other things in there. Maybe you guys also do fibs or maybe EMAs or other things into it, right? But the idea, generally speaking, is that we trade off levels. And all we're doing is seeing, hey, how the market responds to these levels is what determines my bias, either bull or bear. And off the open, we actually had a pretty bear bias. The market lost the level, 544. It retested the 544 level. We showed signs of rejecting the 544, and we failed off of it into a bear flag downside move. This was bearish. Then 30 minutes later, the market gave us a bull side setup. The same thing that happened on the bear side happened on the bull case. We broke above the 544, we retested the 544, we held it, showing retention there, and we saw some big upside, some systematic upside all day. So pretty technical day yesterday, and this to me is what I would consider good price action. The long was here. Now today's session, where is the long opportunity? The long opportunity today's session is going to come at some sort of technical demand. And the demand that we have in front of us is pretty simple. If you go to the 15-minute time frame, you're going to see we have two different levels to watch out, really three different levels to watch out for today's session. Level 1 is 555. It's that little Tuesday's highs. It also is a level from back prior. You can see Tuesday's highs and a level from back on the hourly time frame. You can see there is some support at 555. Okay, that's the first level. The second level, in my opinion, I like even better. It's the 553. The 553 level has been a really important level this week. You can see right in front of us on the 5-minute time frame, the 15-minute time frame, you can see this week we've had some really nice respect here off the 553. Therefore, if we do see the market pull back to 555, yes, it's a long, but I also would watch for 553 as well as a secondary long opportunity. So I'd watch both of these opportunities as longs today in a pullback long scenario, right? Because we don't want to be longing the market at a pre-market high, right? Because if the market's sitting at pre-market high and we see this happen, right? We go long right now and this happens, you wonder, damn, maybe I should buy puts now because the market's flipping, and then the market does this, it pulls back to your demand zone, and then it does that, and you're sitting there wondering, the market probably against me, right? The market must be something wrong with me because I just am bad luck, right? No, it's not bad luck. It's because you probably longed back into a gap up in a pre-market high. You didn't wait for the demand below, and you got smacked in the face with the textbook. The market's not against you. It's just you took a bad trade, right? So what I'd watch out for today's session is I'd watch to see, can we pull back the demand today? That's the best probably trade today is going to be some sort of long opportunity back between 555 and 553. That's it today. That's really what you want to do today's session. Now, here is the other scenario. The other scenario is things get aggressive today. And this is my bias now speaking. I don't think we're going to get crazy aggressive prior to Amazon, Apple earnings. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I've been wrong before, right? And things could happen. Things could get aggressive today. But if the market does stay aggressive today, then what I'd watch out for actually is I'd watch to see if we can maintain above 560. Because if we maintain 560 today, if we see us retain above 560 today, which is a very important level, if we just do this today off the gate, is we just start holding 560 with no pullbacks to our 555, no pullbacks to our 553, then we could see us just trend higher in one of those zombie grind days for an upside move all the way back to 566, which is that 5700 ES level, which is our next level of resistance. So you don't really want to see this happen today, I'll be honest, right? You want to see some sort of pullback. You want to see some sort of ebb for the flow to continue, right? Market moves through ebbs and flows. The best possible scenario is going to be an ebb, in which case we can capture the flow back at demand, back at 555, back at 553. So if you are trading today, understand obviously 560 support, 555 support, 553 support, and then of course resistance comes in back at the 566. If you guys wondering why is there resistance at 566? Where is it coming from? Well, it's ES 5700, but it also is an important level back previously, right? If you zoom into this tight range previously, you can see 566, almost a wick high here, 566, 566, 566, 566. So if we move higher today, I would expect resistance to be here at 566. Above 566 is 570, which is that major resistance we spoke about previously. So some big levels approaching here on the market, but we have to see where do we set up the pullback long. In my opinion, it's 555 and 553. Let's see how these trade ideas set up into our session today. Okay, on the ES chart, it is the same idea, right? You see this ES chart, and your first thought process should not be, let's look for longs right now, right into the market open. The reason why I say that is because we are just now in between a big supply here at 5700 ES and in between a big demand here below us at this 5580 level. If I were trading today, which I am trading today, I would look for a pullback long opportunity back at the 5578 level for longs here. That's it, right? 5578, long opportunity, long opportunity, long opportunity, long opportunity. Look for longs there, 5578. If we fail back lower today, look also for longs here at 5500. Those are your two pullback long opportunities, right? 5500 ES, 5578 ES. That's it. That's all we have today's session, okay? If market continues to grind higher today, then look for us to grind higher back into 57. That's your next big resistance zone. 5700 ES is your next big resistance. If we pull into 5700 ES, that's where you want to be sort of risk off on the long side because you can see some market-wide selling there, okay? And then obviously you have 5770, which is our big overhead supply here from that major sell-off back on April 1st, okay? So that is what I am watching today here on the ES chart. 5700 resistance, 5578 demand, and 5500 demand as well. I hope everybody now has a pretty good understanding of what I'm talking about here in this morning session, okay? So let's move on. Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Let's talk about the QQQ. On the Q's chart, on the QQQ chart, it is the same idea. Your question you should be asking yourself in the back of your head today should be, where do we set up that pullback long? Because if you look here in the QQQs, in the QQQ, you're going to see that we were sitting right back at supply, right back at supply, right back at supply, right back at supply. We could see some sort of knee-jerk reaction selling here off a supply zone, and we could fade back lower into what? Into our 475 demand here in the Qs. And that to me is the long opportunity. If you're watching for longs anywhere, it's going to be up to 475, up to 475, up to 475. It's not going to be here back at 485. The reason why is because, again, we could see selling come in here off resistance, and we could see that leg down low in the market, okay? If you want longs, you're either looking for longs back at demand, or you are doing this today. You are looking to see, hey, do we get aggressive? Do we break and hold above the 485? And that's a long opportunity because that would set us higher back into 492, 491 here on the Qs. Because again, I don't want to just come in here saying let's not long anything, because we could long demand and we could long above resistance, but we can't long here. That's an important idea, right? We can long above resistance here, 45. We can long at demand here, 475, but we can't long when the market's doing this, because look what's happening here. Look at what's happening here on the intraday, on the small 5-minute time frame. But you can see what's happening here, right? You see 485 and these levels. This level here on the QQQ has not been changed. If you guys recall, go back to yesterday's session. It's recorded. You can see everything that we spoke about yesterday on the Qs. Same today. I haven't even looked at this chart since yesterday, right? It's all the same stuff, right? We have 468 demand. This was the level from yesterday. Also 462.5 demand as well. That was that little after hours level that we had previously. We sold off right into it. Some downside moves came in. We reclaimed 468, break above 468, retested 468, upside move above 475, now in a 485 technical supply. You don't want to be long here. You want to be long back at demand, or you want to be long on some sort of break and retest move above 485. That's where upside comes in. So upside there, and upside is back here at 475. You could even argue here to me, if you want to make an argument to me, you could say, Brett, why are you not saying that that Tuesday high here, 476.30, And I would agree with you. You're right. You can watch the whole area between 476.30 and 475. It's a whole big zone to watch out for. So watch that Tuesday high and watch that 475 level from back previous. Okay. So that is it for the ETFs. That's it for SPY. That's it for QQQ. That's it for our overall market. Now let's move on, guys. I want to talk about our first set of tickers for the day. Fancy. Thank you very much, Fancy. That is very nice of you, Fancy. Everybody give Fancy a heart, a thumbs up. That is awesome. Thank you so much. She is a very big supporter. That is very, very kind of you. Fancy, you're always doing that. You absolutely do not have to do that, but that's very, very kind. Okay. So let's move on. Let's talk about the first ticker of the day. Let's go over, I want to do things a little bit differently today. I want to go into the names that reported earnings first, because that I think is the most logical thing to do today. The reason why is because obviously these names are moving the most. So let's go over in this order: Microsoft, Meta, Robinhood, then QCOM, and then we'll go over our actual other beta names that we usually go through. Okay, so let's start off with Microsoft first. On the Microsoft chart, MSFT. On the Microsoft chart, here on Microsoft, we are seeing a major technical gap up in the market, right? Major technical gap up. The reason why, of course, is because of earnings. Where is the pullback long today on this chart? It's going to be here at 419, right? You can see 419, 419, 419, 419, 419. Very easy series of lows here. You can see that's where I would look to see if we can pull back long into, right? That, in my opinion, is where you want to see it. You also have the daily 200 SMA here at 415. 415 is a secondary level, but for me, I would consider that very secondary, because that's pretty much the only reason why it's there is because of the daily 200 SMA. So 420, below 420, 415, below 415 is back at 405. If I'm a fib trader today here on the Microsoft chart, if I'm a fib trader, I would run from lows to highs, and actually, yeah, I would watch 415. So if I'm trading Microsoft on a pullback long today, watch 415 as a pullback long. You have a fib retracement 38.2. You also have the daily 200 SMA there. So if you're watching longs here, watch that 415 today. That could be a really nice long spot. Also watch the 420. So you're watching two different levels as technical supports, right? Technical bounces. Watch the 420 first, 420, 419 first, and also watch 415 to 414.4 as your big levels to watch out for. So again, pretty simple chart here. Obviously, earnings gap up. You don't want to long back into a gap up. You want to long into a pullback in a demand, either there or pull back into here. That's where I belong here on the Microsoft chart. Resistance comes in pretty high here. You can see the next level of major resistance is a bit high. You can see it over here at 434 and then 447. So you do have some upside potential here, which is good, right? Anytime you see a gap up in the market and you want to know, is there upside potential? Yeah, there is, right? You can see there is still upside potential here. We do have resistance here at 435, but above that, we have room to 447. So let's watch this for pullbacks today. Just keep in mind, you do have resistance above us, 434. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next set of earnings reports. Let's do Meta next, then Robinhood. So let's go over Meta first. Meta, on the Meta chart, Meta not quite as exciting as, say, our Microsoft, but Meta is gapping up in the market. In my opinion, I think for me, Meta is a name I would actually prefer to trade more. The reason why is because Meta is doing something more interesting, right? I guess Microsoft is the same thing, but Meta above 580 is really good, right? The reason why I say this is because 580 is a very big technical resistance we've been watching for a long time. 580 is reclaimed, and if we can look for some pullback longs here at 580, that's your best spot today, right? 580, break and retest, upside trade back at the 600 plus. If you look at what's happening here right now on the Meta chart, right? First of all, understand why this level is so important. You can see lows and highs and the daily 200 SMA turning into support this morning. That's what's going on here on Meta's chart. And if you look at the 5-minute time frame, you're going to see what's going on here is we are seeing the most beautiful technical break and retest above 580 in the pre-market session. If you're trading Meta today, you're watching 580 for some sort of pullback long, right? 580, or you are watching the 558 level for a pullback long. In my opinion, this is my number one watch is going to be 580. If we can pull back to 580 and I see us maintain 580, that's a long opportunity. If we pull back to 558, 589, that's your secondary long bounce trade opportunity. Okay, so again, watch these highs over here to turn into support. You can see 558 to 559. You can also be aggressive today and watch to see if we turn this daily 200 SMA and the 580 into support this morning, because if we do, that again would be another long opportunity. So again, when we talk about these bounces, and you're wondering, Brett, why are you showing me two different longs on Meta? What's the right answer? Is it 580 or is it 558? If I knew that answer, I would not be here right now. I would be somewhere on an island in the Caribbean, okay? I would not be here right now. I know it's going to be at one of these levels. I just don't know which one it's going to be yet. Time will tell. Contextual cues as the market opens will dictate which bounce level it is. Are we going to see us quickly fade off the open right under 580 like this? Okay, then obviously 580 is not the answer, right? It's probably going to be 558. But if we see us maintain the 580 today, we pull back to 580, we do a little bit of this type of price action, then that's your long opportunity and upside comes in. So again, I want you to understand that. I know many of you guys probably know this already, but you guys need to know it in case you don't. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on now to Robinhood. On the Robinhood chart, Robinhood reporting nice earnings. I just love Robinhood because I'm a long-term holder of Robinhood, and I love seeing it go up. It just makes me happy when the stock goes up. I think at some point eventually this is what's going to happen is we're going to see Robinhood break above 55 and go back into all-time highs here 66. I think that's eventually what happens here. Is there a long today? Yeah, probably 45. If you're watching for longs, watch 45. You can even watch 50 if you're very aggressive. Watch 50 if you're aggressive. 45 if you're more conservative. And then look for the break and hold above 54. And then in my opinion, the best thing you can do here in Robinhood is just hold shares long term. Just hold it in your long term account, right? I have no intention of trading Robinhood today. I would leave it far in the back burner. But if you are a shareholder, be happy because this is a good move and this is a good earnings. Okay. On the QCOM chart, obviously in complete and utter contrast. DJ Prices, thank you very much, DJ Prices. That you just gave a gift to. I didn't even know you could do that. That's cool. That is really, really cool. That is awesome. Very cool. Thank you, Priceless. Anyway, on the and again, thank you. That is very kind of you. Wow, you guys are very kind today. Hopefully, everyone's making money. I know yesterday's session was quite nice, so let's come with the right attitude today. Anyway, downside move coming in off the QCOM earnings report. Is it anything of meaning though? Right? You look at this downside move, and this is not doing anything. This is not breaking any levels, right? If you look at Meta, for example, Meta's upside is breaking levels. It broke 578, it broke 559. This is a meaningful move. But you look at QCOM, the downside, it's not breaking anything, right? It's still simply just within a big supply and a big demand. So I have no intention of trading QCOM today. QCOM under 133 for puts, maybe that's a potential. But again, I would be surprised if we broke it because we would have broken it already if we were going to, right? We should just probably find support here at 133 and see some upside off of it. So again, if you're watching anything on the QCOM today, you're probably watching a 133 reversion play, okay? I would watch for longs here at 133, right? So let's move on. Let's go over other names. Let's talk about NVDA now. So we're moving on to our normal routine now. We were going over some earnings stuff before. Now we're going over to our actual routine. So let's talk about NVIDIA first. On the NVIDIA chart, NVIDIA 115, probably one of my main watches today. I love this chart. I loved it yesterday too. You can see we turned that 106 into support yesterday and we ripped off of it. And we're now back at supply here, 115. If we're going to trade NVIDIA today, watch to see if two things happen today. Either scenario one, pull back long here, 110. Longs there. Scenario two, pull back, not a pullback, a break and retest 115, upside back into 122. 120, 122. 120 is your first resistance, 122 is your secondary resistance. Watching this today as a main watch above 115 for calls. Look for that today to continue back into 120 or look for the pullback long here 110 as a bounce opportunity into highs. Why 110 now? Why would I say 110? 110 is support, right? Look at what's going on here in the 5-minute time frame. The best long opportunity is going to be either, again, a break and hold above resistance here into a gap up, or it's going to be a pullback long here 110 into support, right? Could you argue 112 as a pullback long? Yes, you could. 112 could be a long spot too, and I'll add this as a level on my chart just so I have it. Nope, not doing that. Go back to our charts. 112 could be a long spot as well, but for me, I would prefer the 110 just because 110's been a big level in the hourly, so I'll be focusing on that today. If you want to be aggressive, you can look to see that there's this 112 turn of support because that it could be a reason to go long, but I would argue that the 110 is the best possible spot. So 110 or 115 or again possibly 112, right? AMD. On the AMD chart, your only level here is 98. That's it, right? Only 98. The only thing that must happen here on AMD for longs to work is we turn this 98 into support. If we can turn these series of highs and highs and highs into support today, 98 to 97.5. This is actually a nice play today. Can this turn into a long? If we are above here, we are bullish. If we're below, we're bearish. So this morning we are bullish. Let's look to see if we can turn these series of highs, the quadruple top or whatever you want to call it, highs. This is probably like a pentatop, right? Something crazy. Or I have no idea what's beyond penta, right? There are octa. There's octa. There are plenty of things beyond. No. I'm so wrong there. I'm so wrong. Let's pretend I didn't say that. But again, this is a mega top, right? You have many highs and highs and highs, turning into a demand here at 98. 98 to 97.5. Watch that for longs today if we can. That is where we're looking for long side plays. Okay. You can see my camera's going in and out. This is a little bit early today, so we're going to continue going as if it's not going in and out. I think it's the temperature gets warm. But let's move on, guys. Let's go on now to our SMH. On the SMH chart, what I'm watching for on the SMH is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be this 205, which we've turned into support, right? This was big yesterday's session. As long as we're above 205, we're holding support back into 218. That's what's going on here on this SMH chart. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to move on to the next chart. Let's go over to Tesla. On the Tesla chart, I'm trying to see if my camera can work first. Let's see. Can I get it to work? If I can't, then we'll just continue on without it. Yeah, I think it's the internal temperature is too high. I think it's because the sun is beaming on my camera this morning. But let's move on, guys. So 290. Above 290 for longs on Tesla, right? The main watch you should be focusing here on Tesla is, can we get above 290? If we can get above 290, look for long side plays back at 300. Simple as that though, right? You don't want to be long unless it's either above 300 or some sort of pullback into 280. As your two long spots, right? 280 as your Wednesday's lows, as your Monday's lows, almost Monday's lows, or a long spot above 290, which is your daily 200 SMA, reclaim, and we should see move back into 300. Again, the reason why we like this for long side trades today is because if you go to the 1 hour time frame, this is still just a little bit of a bull flag trade. This is a bull flag. Bull flag, bull flag. If it can break above 290, look for longs back into 300. Pretty simple chart here, okay? Above 290, longs back in 300. If we fail back under 280, that in my opinion is a short side trade, and we can look for puts back into 260. So again, 280, 290, 270, 290. Those are your big levels today on the Tesla chart, right? Let's move on, guys. Let's go over MSTR. They're asking for MSTR in the chat. MSTR. Let's go over MSTR. MSTR resistance here, you can see I would not be long into this. I would not be long into this colossal rejection point right here. You can see 390 to 400 as big resistance. I would be careful going long back into that level. Okay, PLTR. On the PLTR chart, grinding higher, all-time highs here, 125. At this point, right, you leave it alone. The long was 110, the long was 104, the long is 98. If you longed at 110 yesterday, you're probably doing a good job today. You're probably done trading because this is a sick long opportunity. Today's session, watch 125. It's probably where we go to. But again, this is big resistance. Do not be long back into an all-time high supply. If you want to be long, you want to be long there, or here, or there. Those are your three long spots on the PLTR chart. Okay, let's move on. Let's go over one last ticker, and we're going to finish off the stream on a good note. Let's go over AVGO. 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 AVGO, yet again, holding this level for longs, 186. If you're trading AVGO, you're watching 186. That's it. Watch 186 for long side trades, or even above 200 now. I'd actually prefer this trade. I don't even like this anymore. This is what you want to do now. If you're going to trade AVGO, you're looking for longs above 200. That's it. That's the only contingency now for longs. You don't want to see it continue to tap this level. You want to see it just go now. So above 200 for long side trades, back into 212. That's the only trade I would watch out for here in AVGO's chart. Guys, thank you all for joining in. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you all for live trading. If you trade with us, happy and safe trading. Bye, guys.